Hey, how goes it, everyone? I appreciate all the subscribers, I really do, and I can't wait to see what's to come. I really have a lot to speak on, regarding like the recovery world, my situation in prison, and a lot of other topics. I definitely don't want to limit this to like any one thing. Um, just because I have a lot to speak on. Um, just one thing that I would like to clear up as far as my lockdown episode or whatever. Um, I could have told all kinds of war stories and crazy things that I had seen, but I I wasn't involved with any kind of gangs. I knew people who were gang members and talked to them and associated with them, but not. I wasn't involved in any of those aspects. I I did gamble a little bit towards the end of my bid, but I never got anything from anyone where I had to owe them. I didn't want to be involved in any of the drama. That's why a lot of it didn't affect me. I don't want people to think that you can just go to prison in Oregon and everything will be fine. It won't. You won't have any repercussions for your actions, because that is the farthest thing from the truth. But what I want people to get is, if you just stay away from the drama, you can have a fairly smooth trip. Um, Now, if I would have had more time, things would have been a lot different, I'm sure. If you're doing 10, 11, 12, 20 years, you're going to conduct yourself differently. And that's just the facts of the matter. I definitely will tell some of the war stories and things I've seen, but I didn't just want to go on there and be like, yeah, I've seen a pencil get shoved through this dude's eye and him beaten with a lot, I wanted to kind of convey the real aspect of it and what happened to me, it's almost like this anywhere, I would think. I can't say for sure, but just like in life, I mean, if you want drama and BS, you're going to find it. But if you just want to, do the right thing and avoid drama, that'll happen too. Now, don't get me wrong, just like in life and whatever, things happen, and drama will find you, and sometimes you just have to deal with it. I briefly touched on it, but if a race war or something crazy like that was to break out, you're damn Skippy, I would have had to been right in there in the mix. But that didn't happen. And there's repercussions for not joining, because then you got your own people upset at you. But just like out here in the real world, man, I mean, you catch somebody robbing your house, you're not just going to let them walk away and call the cops, or at least I'm not. I can't say what anybody else is going to do, but sometimes drama does find you, whether it's in here or in there. In here or in there. Out here or in there. So, yeah, with that being said, I just kind of wanted to clarify that. But, when I speak on my experiences, or like when I told my story, I did it solely because there's people that are waiting to go to prison and they want to know. And when you get everybody telling all the crazy aspects of it, I mean, don't get me wrong, I get just as sucked into it as everybody else does. But not everyone's going to be a gang member. Not everyone wants to go in and fight every dude that looks at them funny, And don't get me wrong, if someone disrespects you, you got to handle it. But I was fortunate enough that, from some of the connections and people that I met in the street, I actually knew a lot of people in there, or knew of them, or they knew of me. So I had a good reputation on the street, and that followed me into prison, which is what I contribute to having an easier time in there. Because believe me, there was dudes who came in there that were just, Joe Blow off the street and had a rough time. But you just have to know how to conduct yourself, That's, I think at the end of the day, anywhere, once again, in there, out on the streets, you just have to know how to conduct yourself. You have to be able to read people and situations. And for those of you out there who maybe are looking at some trouble or whatever, just know, treat it like you would most situations. Analyze it. Don't let your impulses get the most of you. And from an addiction standpoint, a lot of addicts, myself, we have poor impulse control. We don't think everything through, so to speak. Something happens and we immediately react. Now, there's circumstances where you have to. Like I said, somebody blatantly disrespects you, spits on whatever it may be, you're going to have to handle that right then and there. There's no thinking about it. There's nothing like that. And I understand that, and those situations occur. But other things, like if it's a situation where you don't have to react right away, give it some time. Think on it. Because a lot of times, your reaction right when it happens versus 15, an hour, how many minutes later is going to be different. And for me, that's something that came with age. I'm not super old or anything, but I don't react the same way when I give something a little bit of time and a little bit more thought as if I was just to do it right then and there. Just treat every situation carefully, I guess. As far as stuff with that interview goes, I fully intend on elaborating on every little bit of the story, and to reiterate on, what I said was my scariest moment. I seen a lot of other crazy stuff and was in different other tense situations, but that was, to me, it was the scariest because there was so many variables. Fighting, that's not really, it can be scary, but the whole situation, because no matter how you react in a situation like that, where you have three bad dudes that, want to move into your cell, they were rapists. I'll tell the story a little bit more for maybe somebody who didn't see that interview. So, they wanted to move three rapists in my cell, and I wasn't having it. I couldn't have it. That would have reflected so poorly on me, and people would have had a heyday. So, the way I reacted to that situation is I made them leave their stuff at the officer's podium, and I went up there and I talked to the cop. I was like, what, there's only two ways this is going to end. Either, you move me or I move myself. And by I move myself, I take off on these three rapists who, I don't know, but I don't want to take off on three rapists because no matter how big of a dude you are, 3-1 is no fun. So, yeah. It was just, the reason it was scary to me is because there were so many variables. And I think at this point, I'll just leave it at that. I just wanted to get this out semi-fast. I have one other video I'm working on that's definitely not done. And that's, I won't even get into that right now. A little bit to do with impulses, actually, which is kind of weird. So, I think that's probably good. I'll keep it short and sweet. Once again, I appreciate your guys' support. And if you like the content and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Leave me a like. I'm always open to suggestions, If there's something you want to know about this area, involving the recovery community or incarceration. If I can answer it for you, I will do my best. And with that being said, I just want to remind you guys that if I can get clean and sober and live a good life, so can you guys. With that, I'm going to sign out. Later.